the connection with games. And few have a more compelling project than Jesse Reich, CEO of Splinterlands, who joins us now for a 10-minute talk, mass market blockchain gaming. Aggie?
Thanks so much. Yeah, so I'm Aggie. I'm one of the CEOs and founder. I am the CEO and founder of Splinterlands. And our goal is to go bring about a nice transition and a nice revolution for blockchain gaming with the primary objective of really being able to spread peace, prosperity, and freedom. And we think that gaming is a fantastic way to onboard new users into crypto. It's a way to get people that are not familiar to have an easy entryway into this system. And then once they experience gaming, they're able to go experience all the benefits of cryptocurrency. And it's kind of like this Trojan horse. So we've been building this game and we've been doing this since 2018. So here's kind of like the basic roadmap for what we're doing. So we have 3 big milestones that are in our brain. First is build the first mainstream blockchain game. And we've done that. We'll talk about that in just a second here, but we've made significant progress and continue to grow. We're one of the biggest dApps in the world right now. Next up, we want to bring additional titles into this so that not only are we doing Splinterlands and our sort of fantasy world, but we want to bring in sports and other types of games. And then lastly, we want to be a platform for other games to build into. So to give a sense of how far we've come, we have 2 million registered users, more than 800,000 that are paying customers. We have anywhere from like 150 to over 500,000 daily active accounts that play. As a collective over the past 4 years, we've played more than 2.5 billion games. And right now we're doing somewhere between 5 and 10 million battles every single day. And we can have card rentals. We have a whole rental system that's built into this ecosystem. And we can have anywhere from 1 to 3 million rentals of our cards in any given day. We're in 149 countries, 10 different languages. Like the game is pretty much everywhere. And you can check our progress. We're on dApp Radar, and we're oftentimes the #1 dApp that's on there in terms of like the number of users and daily accounts that are playing. We have a really robust roadmap for just Splinterlands. We have 4 different product teams. There's like 150 people in this company that are trying to build. Each one of these little cards represents like a whole new aspect to the game. Changes to ranked rewards, new game formats, a whole validator system to make sure that this game isn't just blockchain based, but is completely decentralized. Really trying to modernize the tech so that we can continue to deliver more and more games to more and more people. And what we're gearing towards, so stage 1 I think of as, it's not complete. It's never going to be complete. We always want to keep adding more and more players to this ecosystem. But what we're really doing is taking the core product that we built, the Splinterlands game, and when you think about what other game needs, they're all going to need a homepage. They're all going to need a shop. They're all going to need a way to go open up the card packs. They all need a marketplace, and they all need a collection screen. So that's what I'm kind of thinking of as our Web3 game in a box. And that immediately unlocks for anybody that's working with us or any additional games that we put out there, card ownership. There's DeFi aspects like the rental and the lending that people can do. There's utility for the cards, so as they're battling, you're earning cryptocurrency, and so you're able to go earn with successful play in the game. And just we integrate with kind of traditional finance in such a way that you come in, you swipe credit cards, you use the game, and you play that way. So we try to make this as low-hanging fruit and as easy to enter into this ecosystem as humanly possible. And one of our next major objectives is to sort of dog food Splinterlands as a platform ourselves. So we definitely want third-party developers to come in, but we think that the first couple of these are going to be pretty tricky. So what we want to do is make sure that we kind of have this system down, that how to operate the servers, how to go input your own customized intellectual property into this, and then how do you build kind of separate custom smart contracts for each one of the different games that we want to operate. So we're targeting 3 areas for us. Sports games is really kind of the first big one. Over the next couple months, we'll be announcing a handful of major league sports that we are participating with, where we're going to build sports-based games. So instead of orcs and wizards battling in a like a fake gladiator arena, now you're going to have professional athletes that are, playing football, soccer, basketball, baseball, domestic, international, college, and even fictional. There's some video game IP that's been around for a while that we'll be working with too. So kind of this neat ecosystem of real events, real players. And we imagine a couple different types of games too. So prediction brackets, I think, will be a big one. We can do like fantasy sports as well. And then the kind of games that Splinterlands is, where it's a little bit of make-believe in terms of the fighters and the abilities. I call those kind of like fictional games. So we'll be able to do prediction, we'll be able to do fantasy, and we'll be able to do these fictional games. And we'll be able to do it for basically every single sport that's out there. And the plan is to unite them all under this common umbrella, this common brand. And one of the things that's amazing about blockchain is that it can all be single sign-on. So that when we get players in Splinterlands and we get players in soccer and football and basketball and baseball and rugby and maybe cricket, which is bigger over in international areas, all of these fans for all these sports will have a common login to all these different games, and we'll be able to go bring everybody into this one core ecosystem to participate. And stuff like that, I haven't really seen that happen, maybe in a single sport here or there, but to really unite everybody, I haven't seen anything that ambitious, and that's what we're working on. We've announced that we'll be working with Warner Music Group. They're a fantastic partner in the space. They've been doing something pretty exciting with the Sandbox and Animoca, and they're making waves. And they have tons of musicians and tons of fans that are part of that ecosystem. So we've already announced that we're planning on building music games with them. And lastly, we're going to build some casino-style games. And these things are kind of funky, but we can use principles of staking and NFTs and tokens so that it will feel like you are playing your typical casino games, but we can do this in ways that there's no risk of loss. And that's kind of revolutionary in terms of like how these games might work. But it's fun from a regulatory standpoint. It allows us to operate in a lot of different places, and one of the things that I really like about it is that there's not a lot of people in the world that just instinctively know how to play Splinterlands. It's complicated, it's tricky, but a lot of people know how to play blackjack and poker and these games that are just common in every single household in nearly every single country. So I think there's some low barrier to entry when we start getting into some of these other games that make it even easier for players that are not familiar with crypto and NFTs and all that to get into this ecosystem. And of course, we have to go develop this for a mobile ecosystem as well. It's something like 70% of the games that are played out there right now are all mobile games. So to have, I can tell you, having built in this space for 4 years, web games are hard. Blockchain-based web games are harder. And blockchain-based web games that play on a mobile device where your screen is now 1/10 the size is like the hardest out of all of them. So this isn't just like, hey, we'll go put this together and make it easy. Like that is the crux of the problem. How do you fit all of the complexity of blockchain into a mobile space is actually astoundingly difficult. So that'll be an ongoing project like all these things. It takes a while to build, and I've been amazed at how much we've been able to produce as a company just over the last 4 years doing this in the space. But I'm also still amazed by just how much work it constantly is to battle in this space to make one more step of progress. So ultimately, where all of this is going, after we kind of get the landing place, which is Splinterlands, that people are familiar with, that, it's one of the most played blockchain games in the world. We start branching out into sports and casinos and music so that we can bring all these different games here. And we build that ourselves so that we help with that transition and help people figure out how does it work. And we learn ourselves, how does this work when you're supporting more than one game and what are the nuances of that. kind of once we have a handle on that, then we really get to open this thing up to the broader world where everybody gets to participate in, future. I look at companies like Zynga or other Facebook games or Snapchat games or whatever. They're going to need places and ways that they can come over and build in this space. Platforms like Unity or Unreal Engine, they can build all these Web 2.0 games all day, but it's hard to imagine how they scale into Web 3. And if we as a company are able to tell them, hey, look, we're going to help you build a DeFi game in a box that has everything you need, and you just come and participate with us, I think we'll get some of the biggest game producers in the world to work in our ecosystem. So that's what we're working on. We want to be a world-class game studio, signing some of the best IP in the world, and build a platform and like a marketplace for games where anybody that wants to create this stuff can come together. So that's where we're going, and thanks for your time and attention.
Thanks, Aggie.